Hi everyone. So I'd like to share a tool that I've put together and used this semester to kind of improve my workflow. And I've written a little bit about this on my blog previously in terms of the philosophy behind it. And I am ready to kind of share how it works and hopefully make it a tool that you might use yourself to design some assessment questions for your students. So I picked a question from the 2016 June New York State Regents. This is the Algebra 2 Regents exam, and so I just picked a question that I thought might work well here. So you can see we have a Venn diagram question involving probability, and it's asking what is the probability that a student participates in both sports and music. So I've drawn a little diagram because I'm going to be using these four variables in a minute with my QuestionBuilder app to kind of turn this into a computable randomized question that I could use multiple times with students with different numbers every time. And I'm hoping that through doing this you'll get a sense of how the tool works and you might be able to use it yourself. So the number A, I'm going to say, is the number of students that are just in sports. B is both sports and music. C is students that are only in music. And D are those students that do neither. And I'm going to, again, show you how I go from this to being able to generate a question like this where the numbers and some other parts change as we move forward. So first we'll go to QuestionBuilder, where I've already put in the text of the question as you saw before. One thing I want to point your attention to is that this uses the KTEX math formatting library from Khan Academy and makes it so that you get some real nice math formatting. And anytime you want to do this, you just put in a couple equation tags and the equation shows up real nicely using that library. So I'm going to be using that here. And what I'd like to do is take this from a single question and turn it into something where the numbers change every time, something where I might be able to use it with multiple students and not kind of have the numbers be memorized. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add four variables, A, B, C, and D, to represent the numbers of students in those four different groups. So you can sort of see I've done this. And what I'm going to do for each of these is, let's say I want those numbers to be between 50 as the lower bound, so I'm going to paste that in the lower bound for all four of these, and let's have it go up to maybe 150 for the other, for the maximum value for each of these variables. And I'm not going to exclude any of these values. So you can see if I now run this, I'm getting four different values every time I hit this insert values button. The next thing that I want to do is now make it so that these numbers represent the correct quantities for these four groups that I defined in the other in the Venn diagram. So the first thing is the total number of students, which in the original question is 1376. So I'm going to define a new variable that is total students, and I'm going to make this a calculated value, and this is just going to be the sum of these four variables together. So you can see that I'm putting in the @ symbol. That just means that I'm using one of the variables here in this calculation. And so now if I hit insert values, it's automatically taking all of these and adding them together. So I'm going to take 1376 up here and I'm going to write @total students, and now if I go up here and I do insert values, it's now changing that value each time. Let's go and change these numbers as well. So the number of students who participate in sports, if you remember in my Venn diagram, that's going to be A and B together. So I'm going to make another variable, and I'm going to say total sports, and I'm just going to calculate that by adding together A and B. So again, we have some values, those are going in correctly, and I'm going to change this 649, this fixed number, to total sports. And I'm going to do the same thing down here for the total students in music. For my Venn diagram, that's going to be B and C. And so I'm going to add a variable, total music, again, calculated value, that's going to be at B plus C. And up here, I'm just going to highlight that and write total music. And now I can see that those numbers are changing correctly each time. And finally, the probability that a student participates in either sports or music is this. The numerator of the fraction here, I want this to be the sum of A, B, and C, and the denominator of this fraction is going to be the total. So I already have a variable for total students, so I can put that there. And up here, let's define a new variable, and I'm going to say sports or music. I'm going to call that variable. Let's add that variable down here and calculate that by doing A plus B plus C. And now when I run this, oh, looks like sports capital or, is that what I do? Oh, that's my mistake, so sports or music. Now if I go up here and I run this, you can see that that number is changing every single time. I can make it so that this calculates the answer as well. And what's nice about this is it's just going to be one of our numbers, because it says what's the probability that the student participates in both sports and music. I'm going to just steal this portion, because the total students is going to be the same, and I'm going to make a new variable, and I'm going to say that this is both sports and music. And I'm going to take that variable name so I don't make the same mistake again. Add a variable down here, paste that in there, and this number, I guess I didn't actually have to put in a new variable, it's just B. So now if I go and insert the values, I'm getting the answer to that question every single time. So the last thing I want to show you, because again, this the numbers are changing, but it is kind of the same question. The question might be, can we make it so that it's asking different questions each time? And so I want to bring your attention to this last part. So right now I'm asking the probability that the student participates in both sports and music. What if I change that to sometimes I want to ask both, sometimes I want to ask neither. So what I'm going to do is create a new variable, and I'm going to call this variable question. Just question is fine. And I'm going to use one of the Khan Academy helper functions, random from array. And this makes it so that I can choose an element of an array. And I'm going to grab the first one. I'm going to make the first one both sports and music. So I'm going to paste this in here. And I'm going to make a second one. And I'm going to make this neither sports nor music. Okay, and so if I now take question up here and I change the bottom part right here to at question, you can see that now as I enter this, sometimes it asks neither sports nor music, sometimes it asks both sports and music. And so the last little change that we want to make is we want the answer to track what is actually being asked here. So I'm going to put in one final thing, one final variable. I'm going to make this variable answer. I'm going to make this a JavaScript expression. So I'm going to check to see if, and I'm going to put question. I'm going to see if that text is equal to, and I'm going to paste both sports and music in there. And I'm going to say if it is, I'm using this is a ternary operator in JavaScript. If it's true, it's going to give the first value. And so I want this text to actually be this here. So if it is, I want it to return this. And one thing I'm going to have to do, because this is JavaScript and the slash escapes whatever comes after it, I have to put a second slash mark there. Okay. And now that I have that, the second choice, if it's not that, I want to instead deliver a different fraction, and that fraction is just going to be, instead of both sports and music, I'm just going to grab the @d, because this is asking whether, what is the probability that the student selected is neither in sports or music. So now, we have a little mistake in there. Let me first add the answer in there. Let's just check really quickly. Go to both sports and music. Oh, so I don't actually need this if there. That's right. So now if I run this, we can see that sometimes it's asking both, sometimes it's asking neither. And the answer to the question is changing appropriately each time. So this is just one example of how you can take a fixed question and kind of turn it into something that's variable. I've found lots of uses for this this whole semester, and I'm hoping at some point to share this for you so that you can give it a shot yourself. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions.